First off, I want everyone here to welcome the Joker. Obviously, you're taking an interview with me is something you don't really do. You rarely ever do interviews, and understandably, because, it could be that there's a little bit of a risk in doing that. So I want to thank you for taking the risk to do it with me today. But on top of all that, too, thank you so much for wanting to be part of everything that's going on here. It's a very exciting time. But, that being said, obviously you're one of the biggest figures in all of villainy. So getting an interview with you is a big deal for me.
That's right, you Joker, right here and raring to go. I have to admit right here and now, Joe, to you, that I do somewhat respect you for bringing me onto your podcast. Or what are you calling this now? It's the interview with the Joker. I love it. I think it'll be headline worthy all over the place, especially Gotham. They love me there. That being said, though, what is your first question, you stupid sack of shit?
Yeah. First question, obviously, it's a bit of a weird one. I'm sure you probably heard them all. But before we go too far in, my first question, I guess, in this case is going to be, what pronouns do you go after, or what do you use, at least? And what reasoning, if there is one, do you have for using those?
I feel a little bad now. I really do. I'm over here making fun of you, calling you sack of shit, and you're asking me about my pronouns. I can't believe this, but I have to say I'm sorry. Don't worry, we'll make it up later. You'll beg me for your life later. But, anyway, the fact of the matter is my pronouns are basically just this. I don't feel like a he or she, nor do I like the non-conclusive they, them. Because I want to be gender non-conformative, but also want to be conformative to a gender. So I've picked the as my pronoun. There's part of the zero pronoun bullshit out there. So basically, the reason why I picked it, and you'll love this, Joe, is that basically it's spelled C-I-R, right? But that's the thing that got me in it. You take the Z-E from the transgender territory, and you put the I from his or him, and then you do the R from her, and put it in a big pot of bullshit. And here's the weird part about the whole thing. What got me on board was when someone told me, hey, Joker, do you know how to spell yourself? I spelled it Z-I-R-S-C-I-L. No, that's not how you spell it all.
Really?
It's spelled H-I-R-S-E-L-F. So I started to realize, oh my God, I've missed the joke the whole time. I'm in. I'm totally in. That gets me every time. So that's why I'm a Zer. It's a part of bullshit. It always will be. Zero pronouns are bullshit. Every one of them are. But the fact is, it still feels so nice to be in on the joke. You seem like a bit of a Zer to me too. Yes, it's true. You do. Don't back away from this. It's totally there. I can tell. Trust me. I'm a Zer. We all can tell. Now, to be fair, no, you aren't a Zer because you're not cool enough to be. Yes, you. But the fact is, everyone knows this is a stupid thing. But the fact is, I feel in some ways to have to defend it. Is that weird? I feel in some ways that I am misunderstood myself as the Joker. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm on this podcast now, this interview. I want people to see me for who I really am on the inside. I'm not a terrible guy. I truly am. But at the same time, this is why I defend the Zer thing. Sure, stupid and dumb, let's all agree it is. But the fact is, I'm also a little bit weird. No. Clearly, I can tell that most people are going to say, Joker, you're not weird at all. You're completely normal. But the thing is, I really am not as normal as those would say I am. And it's not a therapy session or anything. You're not my therapist. Trust me, I had one once. She was pretty bad at her job, ended up joining me. But the fact is, the whole thing tells me that if I don't distend the Zer thing, I feel in some ways responsible for not stunning myself. I know it's a little bit weird to go on tangent here, but I feel maybe people just misunderstand me, and this is the whole point of why I'm here. So if I need to somehow defend the Zer bullshit, well, I am defending it.
All this being said, though, I'd like to know your true origins, because I mean, if you've seen various movies, comics, TV specials of any kind out there involving you, they always have their own version of Joker, their own origin behind you. Some are crazy, some are pretty good, but I want to hear from the guy himself. Like, you're the Joker. Tell me who you are, where you came from in that situation. Like, even your real name. I'd be happy to hear that too. But anything you think of that might be useful here, I'd love to know it. So what is the origin of the Joker?
Interesting, that origin story. A lot of origins out there about me, as you know. There's been movies, there's been comic books, there's been everything. But, the weird thing about this whole thing, and this is what really bothers me, no one ever gets it right.
Interesting.
Listen to other stories. Tons of stories are out there. I mean, they're the law. But I'm going to give you the inside scoop. That's right. I respect you enough to give you the real story. So, you may not know this, but I was part of a circus. I was an acrobat, as well as my entire family, except for my other sister. She was a lion dip. She was the black sheep of the family, to be fair, and no one liked her that much. But we don't. We got ourselves the Flying Jokers, me and my acrobatic family. Okay, you know what? I'm lying there. That you called me a lie. I admit it now, We're called the Real Thrush King. I, of course, was the Joker, the wild card of the group. I do all the crazy fun fits and whatnot. My mother, of course, is the queen. My father, the king. Then my eldest brother, he was the favorite of the family. He was the ace. I hated my brother. Then my cousin Jack. We were all great. Fantastic even. But one day, we go in, and the owner of the circus says, "Hey, there's a ton of acrobats out there with all these other places that I've seen. None of them have a net below. We want an element of danger around here, right? Danger." So, although a little bit timid about it, my family and I said, "Okay, cool, no problem. We'll have no net below." But it was the same night this man came in and started shooting up the place. I mean, when he started shooting up, he shot multiple people. It was a massacre. But the sad part is, it was in the middle of the show. In the middle of our part of the show. So it's about to be my turn, right? There's this big roping section here. It holds the whole thing together, right? But it just so happened to be that man shot right at that rope as my parents, cousin, and brother was swinging below. Though it would be my turn next, the rope was shot and everyone fell below. When I looked down, everyone was there, on the ground, lifeless. And then I started laughing to myself. I got the joke. On the one night, in all the nights possible, we didn't have a net. So the same night, this Yahoo comes in and starts shooting up the place. Of all nights, but there needs to be an element of danger. We finally have danger. And everyone died as a result. It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I later found that man. When I became an adult, he had been locked up for years amongst this population in the public population area. When I was first arrested, I was sent to the public population territory too. Arkham was a long way away from us. When I heard about the man and what he'd done in his history, I found him, and I put a smile on his face. Didn't hear much from him after that. Didn't hear much from him at all. People said from then on that he never spoke another word, but smiled at everything. He never laughed, but always smiled. And that, Joe, is my origin. I did go on to be the Red Hood for a bit, though, until some sort of two-bit bad rat becomes the Red Hood later on. But that's not a story for the time, I'm sure.
Now, obviously, this interview is in some ways, I think it's really being made to humanize you, sure, but in doing that, it makes you sort of part of this whole ecosystem of people who basically have to be held accountable for their actions in many cases. And although your criminal acts are definitely things you need to be held accountable for, there's also other things that we need to talk about too, such as their potential issues. I mean, obviously when Me Too happened, several female villains came out against you, but most of them no one really cared about. Others we cared a lot about, but one in particular that everyone's talking about really, I would most certainly have to say it would be Harley Quinn. She directly worked with you for years. She obviously was someone that was technically in a relationship with you. I don't know what you would call that with her, but definitely for the longest time she had this connection with you. So due to this happening, I kind of want to know your thoughts of this whole thing. Do you have any apologies you want to make or anything you want to say about this that is important? Like we want to hear your opinions about this, because this particular story about Harley, the Me Too movement, and all this sort of stuff, like that has to be considered. So tell us your thoughts there, man.
Well, thank you for bringing this up, Joe, because I have a lot to say on it. A lot of people look at what I did with Harley Quinn and they say, oh, Joker's a terrible person, and because of beating Harley Quinn, abusing her, whatnot. Did I mentally, emotionally, and physically abuse Harley Quinn? Of course I did, and I'm okay with admitting that, you see. But what's so odd to me, it seems to be so overlooked by so many people, and I don't know why, is that for some reason we don't blame Harley at all. You see, Harley Quinn is also Dr. Harleen Quinzel, someone who went to school, earned a doctorate degree in the area of psychology, meaning she knows psychopathy very well, knows people like me. In fact, she's so obsessed with these other people that she went to Arkham to rehabilitate us. But yet, she was more so obsessed with me before she ever arrived, which is why our sessions that would normally last 20 minutes for most people will last an hour or so. And we do them 4 or 5 days at a time, every week for at least a good month or so. Then that's when Harley was easy to flip to my side, because all I had to do was just say, hey, Harley, you want to just do something different? People look at me and blame me similarly to how the devil's blamed. Where Harley claims she only did what she did because I made her do it, or I forced her into doing these things, and to be fair, sometimes I did. But most of her actions she did was on her own accord. So basically what ended up being so odd to me was that every time we would go out and about, and I would do something like, rob a bank or what have you, I was useful because unlike other people, Batman doesn't play fair. So I want it to be just me and him. But he has these little bad brat partners walking around, so to have someone there that has tried one of the bad brats, well, that's useful to have. So Harley can take out a robber or two. I'm okay with her doing that. Thing is, she used me to be her devil. She wanted to blame me for all the things she wanted to do before she ever met me. And she used me and my name and besmirched my name to make me look worse. because I did all these bad things to her. But the thing is, she earned a lot of those beatings herself. She kept continually messing up, kept continually doing something stupid. About one point in time, she actually made me believe she killed the Batman. Also, one time she captured the Batman and just randomly surprised me with him and thinking that would be very nice as a present of some guy. The thing is, I wanted to be the one that kills the Batman. I would be the one that captures the Batman. If she does it without me, it's not nearly as good. So did I have to beat her up a little bit to teach her a lesson there? Of course I did, because I, at that point in time, was being a boss, was being her better. It wasn't home life. But then when there is home life going on, it's sort of odd because I never told her I wanted to be with her, only her. In fact, most of the time when it came to our relations and sort of things, did I go to bed a few times with this crazy chick? Of course I did, because who wouldn't want to? I mean, look at her. But do we ever have a real, complete relationship? Of course not. In fact, my relationship with the Batman, I feel, is a lot stronger. I care more about things involving him. In fact, she knew that. Which is why she became so jealous and enraged after a while. She didn't leave me because I beat her. No. She left my side because I'd never love her or be as obsessed with her, if you want to call it that way, as I am with the Batman. So if you want to go Me Too with Harley, you're really going down the wrong sort of road here. I mean, I'm happy for her success. I mean, she's become some sort of hero of sorts, gotten in a good relationship with Poison Ivy, and good for them. I mean, hashtag bet. But don't look down on me and disperse mine and make me look worse because I beat her, did something bad to her. She deserved all those beatings and knew who I was well before she ever joined my side. So she earned every bit of that. And more importantly, she knew it was coming. I am nothing if not predictable in that department. So if we want to look at something negative here, look at her and her brain, how she took advantage of me and tried to use me to get her own sort of feelings out to the world. That should be the big news here,
Now, I know with all that's been going on, it's very difficult to kind of talk about certain things here. But in a lighter tone here, I guess, and I'm not really sure if this actually is a lighter tone or not, because knowing you, it very well could go downhill very quickly. I would love to know the most favorite prank you ever pulled. Like, something that you might be able to talk about, maybe something you pulled on the Batman, I don't know, whoop a cushion in the Batmobile, like anything you could think of, a big prank you pulled, that the one that you find to be your most favorite prank you ever pulled as a Joker, what would it be? And tell us about it.
So you want to know the most favorite prank ever pulled, eh? Well, I'll tell you. Now, can I get graphic here?
Sure, yeah,
I can?
no problem.
Okay, good. So, one day, Commissioner Gordon's in the way yet again, as he always is, and this is a bit of a problem here, because I commit crimes in Gotham City to basically run into the Batman. I'll do it to run into Gordon, no one really does. So, I then realized, I've got to get Commissioner Gordon off my back somehow, but how to do so? Well, you can't just call off Commissioner in Gotham because just another one takes his place. So, to fix the problem, you've got to get leverage on that Commissioner. So, in knowing this, I have to find leverage in Gordon, and that's hard to do because everyone knows all his faults by now. I mean, everyone knows his wife left him years ago for another man, but then I realized, he saw his daughter. Barbara Gordon, the beautiful Barbara Gordon, that beautiful red-headed girl. I know she's leaving her home soon. She's going off to college. So I then decide to find out her new apartment, where she's located at. I find out her roommate she has. I find out her roommate's schedule. I find out what classes she goes to, when she goes to them. I find out what areas she frequents, when she frequents them. And then I start to realize, wait a second here. Miss Gordon's at all hours of the night, which seems a lot. Now, of course, a young girl leaving the nest for the first time, have a little fun, and the world's not shocking. I mean, hey, if I was, I'll be getting my fiddle played every single night. But getting your fiddle played every night like she does, I mean, even for her, that's a lot, you know. So then I realized, no, she's not getting a fiddle played. She's the back girl. I spotted her coming in the door once. I guess her roommate knew, but the fact of the matter is, this meant that I had huge leverage I could use on Gordon, but then I realized, wait a second, I have leverage on Gordon, but I can play a beautiful prank on Gordon and the Batman at the same time. Who could resist? So I then proceed to get my plan in order. Well, I go to this abandoned theme park, get a little bit of a ride, readjust the bus crease all over the place. Then I proceed to find Miss Gordon's home and again, going inside it with a few hits of mine, breaking the door through, and then I see Miss Gordon, I spray her with some little poison I have. It knocks her out almost, but the thing is, this poison is beautifully useless because you can use it and basically have more fun than you realize. You see, this poison makes to where the person can't move any area of the body at all, but their brain is still active, you see. So they can still hear, smell, taste, feel, and have brain movement. Their eyeballs can move around, but they can't move any area of the body for several hours. It's an amazing thing to see, but the fact of the matter is, I knew I could have a lot of fun. So I set a camera up, and my henchman and I decided to just be her legs and scissors, but only being her legs in, from the kneecaps down, because you don't want to have someone at Barbara Gordon and destroy her entire legs, because those legs are really nice, you know. But this is not good enough for me. So I decide I got a camera set up. Well, how could I not decide to then take advantage of that camera? I then pull her pants down and have a little bit of fun. You know what I mean? Thing is, though, is that in doing this, I found out a very big secret again. She's not a natural redhead. I know, I was shocked too. Hurt me on the inside a little bit to find this out. It really did. I mean, I'm the Joker. I lie, cheat, steal, whatever you want to say, but I never lied about my hair color, you know? That was a deep blow there. I know Miss Barbara is going to come after me after what I've done, so I decided to turn her over, beat her back in. And I later find out that is what paralyzes her from the waist down. Now, I took a young woman off the street by doing this, to be fair. I mean, when Bruce Wayne takes a guy off the street like that, everyone applauds him, glorifies him, but when the old Joker does it, apparently I'm looked at a negative light for this book, but whatever. From there, I then go to kidnap Commissioner Gordon, knock him out, get him to this little ride I just set up, right? Tie him up, and as he comes to, I've got his eyes glued wide open where he can't close them, and he's stuck in this little area where he can't move at all. So I have these screens up showing what I've done to his young daughter. At every possible end you can see, there's not one part of her body that Mr. Gordon here did not ever see. He saw it all. Of course, the Batman did find us, and when the Batman just finds you like that and does those horrible things, he did not take well to it. So he gave me probably the worst being, or one of the worst beings he ever gave me in history at that night. But then right before he goes for the knockout blow, I tell him a joke. He proceeds to laugh his ass off that joke. I mean, we're talking, it seems so bad, so out of place, that I thought I might have given him, or maybe dropped one of the laughing gas bombs I had, you know? But I didn't. He was laughing organically. Which told me a few things. First thing it told me is that he laughed because of the whole situation. I just put him pretty right. That really is what seemed to be the case. But from there, it was even more funny because I realized he's laughing knowing what happened too, meaning I didn't go far or too far in his mind. He's such a good prank. I never could replicate that prank ever again if I tried. I did try a few times, to be fair. Once I tried with one of those other Robins, but that birdie did not give me near the same satisfaction as Barbara Gordon did.
I do have to know, though, what is this obsession you have with the Batman? Because it seems as if Batman has been, for many years here, I would say, someone who has had to take you on, a bunch of other rogues as well, but you definitely seem to be the one with this vast obsession that seems to be unable to break. I don't know what it is between you and the Bats, but I'd love to be able to hear your specific issues there. What makes you obsessed with him?
Obsession? So I'm going to tell you something that you should probably know by now, but ultimately it seems as if so many people here just don't understand it. People assume that I, the Joker, am obsessed with the Dark Knight. But really, it's the Dark Knight, the Batman, that's obsessed with me.
I understand.
See, Batman, assumingly, is trying to make Gotham better, but in doing so, he thinks he can rehabilitate every single person that he comes in contact with. Now, to be fair, there are some who can be, like Catwoman and whatnot. She never really was a problem. She just needed to have time to maybe get off the streets, maybe stop her thievery. There are problems there. You have someone like Poison Ivy, who's an eco-terrorist. She's not a really bad person. Your person was like Sub-Zero, who really was doing all this for his wife. But the thing is, these people were not bad people. They were in bad positions. So Arkham's for them, right? But for Joker, for me, yeah. Arkham makes no sense. Not only do I keep getting out, but if you recall, my little two-bit son over here, she was my former doctor, Miss Harlequin. Yeah. Dr. Harling Quinzel. I turned her instead of her turning me. See, her job the entire time was to come in and to help us be rehabilitated, right? So the thing is, I had a few sessions. The sessions I had with her weren't really that long. I mean, we did 20-minute sessions, like maybe 4 or 5 times a week. And she did this for, 2 weeks? And in that 2-week span, I flipped her into becoming obsessed with me. She knew through her background that I am a narcissistic sociopath. And yet she still fell in love with me. It wasn't because I was great. It is because I am good at being the Joker. I am not able to be rehabilitated. In fact, to be frank, to be really honest, I should have been put to death years ago. I'll admit it freely. Most of the people in Arkham are not there because they can be rehabilitated, because most cannot be. Most are actually psychopathic people. At least I'm honest about it. You know, everyone knows I'm crazy, but I don't pretend to not be. I am who I am, and I am okay with that. But the fact remains is that clearly there's a massive, what they call rose gallery for Batman, but we all keep getting out at some point in time, and all of us continue to become issues in Batman's side, and none of us are probably locked up in a better prison. None of us locked up in a better place, and more importantly, we keep getting out other places that were put in. This is the weird part here. It seems as if Batman doesn't care. Because I'm on the streets all the time, trying to play around, have some fun, and I love having fun with the Batman. And you assume that it's just me that's obsessed. When the reality, speaking here, it's the Batman that's obsessed with us. And especially yours truly. And who can blame him? I mean, I'm a Joker. I am the main event for him. I am his entertainment. And the fact is, I totally understand it. I do. I see the appeal. But I could easily pick another person to be obsessed with if you're calling me obsessed. But the Batman, see, he couldn't handle that. This is why when I've gone to Star City, when I've gone to Hub City, when I've gone to Metropolis, guess who followed behind me? There are superheroes in those cities. Plenty of them, in fact. But for some reason, Batman followed me and assumed that these people needed help, or these people weren't good enough to stop me. Does that seem like I'm obsessed? No, it doesn't. No. It's the Batman that's obsessed with me and always has been. Make sure you take a note of that, kids. Because really, at the end of the day, am I the problem? Or is the Batman really the problem? Would any of us really exist or be criminals today if not for the Batman? Good question to ask yourself, really.
That said, I gotta know, we have this whole thing going on between you and the Batman, but what do you think about the other people among the rogues out there? Like we just talked a little bit previously, or you referenced a few of them that are from the Rogues Gallery that Batman has, and a lot of your prison inmates there at Arkham, I'm sure, part of this list here. So can you go over some of these people and why you feel that they stand out, or if any of these people are equal to you or something interesting to you? Like, let us know your thoughts about these people from the major rogues that we all talk about. What are your thoughts there?
My feelings about the others from the, what would you call it, the Rogues Gallery for Batman, I mean, it's pretty deep there. But a lot of the people that are on that list of enemies have mentally weird problems going on, or things that scarred them, or things that happened to them, what positions they're put in life. For example, we talked about Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is an eco-terrorist, but someone who has a good point. The government, on all sides, for our American government at the very least, and this happens over in Europe too, they don't care much about fixing the environment. And depending on who you elect in office, things will get even worse. So to have Ivy go up there and say, hey, this is the problem, let's try and fix it. Am I upset with it? Of course not. I agree with her. We should try and fix the environment if we can. So I'm perfectly happy with that. But obviously, there's some problems there. The thing is, though, Ivy, other than that, isn't really necessarily evil, Which is why she's helped the bat out a few times here now, Sub-Zero, same thing. He does it for his wife for the longest time. But after she's gone, Sub-Zero really doesn't feel as if he wants to stay in that line of work, and didn't for a little while. But then it becomes about survival for him. Two-Face has an incident, gets him one side of his face screwed up, the other side perfectly fine. This man was a distant eternity that put people like me in prison. I ended up in Arkham really at one point in time because of this man. So clearly, if you look at it from that standpoint, I mean, the mentality standpoint, that's the issue of a lot of these people. For me, I have always been a little bit crazy. Nothing happened to me that made me this way. I am who I am. There's someone like Catwoman who has a romantic relationship with the Bat. Something I never really wanted, Like that relationship they have together, they deserve that. I don't want that with the Batman. I will have that with Catwoman, though. I mean, I've seen her a few times up close. Trust me, it's a worthwhile adventure, if you know what I'm saying. But the fact is, only a few are here that actually make any sense as legitimately people like myself. Bane, for example, a bit of a foreign guy, comes here, wants to be the kingpin of the swords, has a bit of a venom of some kind that makes him larger. He's the one that broke the bat, if you recall. I mean, the guy is also very intelligent, too. We keep forgetting about the fact that his tactical skills mean it's other than myself and maybe one other person, it's definitely up there. It's as good as the Batman's lead. So from a tactic standpoint, Bane's there. The Riddler, though, definitely a very intelligent guy, has a bit of a problem sometimes, more of an itself. His thing, I believe, is more of an obsession than mine. As we talk about obsessed people, Riddler's the guy. Because his whole thing is about only having Batman solve his riddles. As they're not done properly, or they don't take a long enough time, or if he solves them faster than expected, Riddler goes absolutely mad. And then at one point in time, the guy goes absolutely crazy because he's trying to figure out how Batman escaped from some sort of weird position. Like, at one point in time, he blows a building up. Basically, it seems like Batman's not going to escape, but somehow does, and never tells Riddler how it happens. Riddler screamed for days about how it happened. Every hour of the day. It was annoying. Eventually, there had to be some sort of muted glass put up to stop this from being a big issue. I had put some headphones on that I, found somewhere. I say found, I mean someone brought them to me. And by someone, I mean Harley, of course. The fact is, there are a ton of rogues, but I believe only two others, Bane and Riddler, are at least worthy of his time compared to myself. So the thing is, we all have our own thing with the bat. We all do. Each and every one of us. But the thing that makes us different is that Riddler's obsessions cloud his judgment. Bane's venom gives him abilities to do things that he cannot do without it. Though very intelligent as he is, his biggest issue is quite literally himself. For me, I'm crazy, but at least I kind of know where the lines are. So if you look at someone who's probably at least a little bit better than all of them, hey, I don't want to toot my own horn, but there's a toot, you know?
In trying to, I would say, get a little bit from you, not so much a political answer here, but just kind of getting to know you more. I know there has been this issue between you and the IRS. Obviously, I know that you're not the biggest fan of them, and they're not the biggest fan of you. I don't mean to start any beefs here, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are about the IRS and what you could possibly, what we might be able to do to stop some of the problems that we see there, or maybe what your thoughts are on just the IRS itself. Like, I want to know your whole entire issue with this whole thing.
The IRS. You want to know my thoughts on the IRS? Okay, first off, I don't want any smoke with the IRS. Now, yeah, I'm crazy enough to take on the Batman. Yeah, I'm definitely able to do that, but I'm not crazy enough to take on the IRS. I'll tell you a story, though. So one time, there's this mobster named Keaton Barlow. We weren't the best of friends, but then he leaves me a nice inheritance of over $200 million. Of course, what's so odd about this whole thing is I'm not thinking about the taxes of it all. I mean, who would? But it's a very public amount of money being sent, so everyone knows I'm getting this money. Barlow, of course, paid his taxes and other things of that nature. Therefore, the money that was already getting to me had already been taxed before it got to a point where it could actually be left to someone. But the thing is, this government we have here makes you pay what is as an inheritance tax. So I didn't know this. The money comes to me, and I spend around $10 million or so that I get from this amount of money. It's not that much money in the long run, I think. But then Uncle Sam comes around telling us, oh, you owe this amount of money, which is over $100 million on this over $200 million that I've made. So almost half the amount of money I owed Uncle Sam for the inheritance of it all, which is, first off, insane, by the way. The second off, the fact that you even have to pay the inheritance tax at all makes no sense at all because it's already been taxed money. Why am I paying for tax money? It basically, now you're still taxing that money. Which, to be quite frank with you, I hear it now, I find to be completely bullshit. But hey, I'm a joker that doesn't want to deal with any shit like that. The thing is, Barlow left me over $200 million, I thought. But actually just $10 million, the money I just spent. The rest of it had his face on it. Thing is, I couldn't tell the government this because it meant that this money would then be known to have been something that fooled me. But at the same time, I know Uncle Sam wants their money, so they're assuming I have this amount of money. And I have to make the world still believe that I have it. And more importantly, I have to do this in a way that would allow me to escape tax evasion. Because keep in mind, Al Capone, if you recall, he did not go to prison because of his criminal activities. No, he went to prison for tax evasion. I was not going to be another Al Capone. I refused to be that. The thing is, though, when the tax thing comes up, I wouldn't go to Arkham, an easy-to-break-out prison. Now, I would go to a legitimate prison, and I can't handle that. Do you want to see me in a Gen Pop situation? No, of course not. I will be publicly targeted because, I mean, look at me. I'm beautiful. Sure, I would have no problem shaking anyone in there. They all know I'm crazy, but at the same time, I am definitely going to be live bait for some guy named Harold somewhere, and I don't want that at all. That being said, I found we have the problem, of course. But I would love to have killed King Bala myself after that. Sadly, he's already dead, so what could a mobster do? What could a joker do? What could anyone do? Other than lie, which is exactly what I did. That being said, do I love the IRS? Of course not. The thing is, and what I find to be odd, is that all these rich people, let's say your Bruce Wayne, your Oliver Queens, your Elon Musk or Jeff Bezoses, they get away with paying hardly any tax money per year, even though their companies make billions of dollars. I mean, look at Amazon at one point. At one point in history and time, when they were the most, I would say, global noon company, making most money they ever made, more than any other company in the world, they were not being taxed by our government for almost 3 years. It's a legitimate thing. That's a real thing. It's not just me being joker saying it's joker. No, this is a legitimate thing. And yet, we wonder where the real criminals are. The real criminals aren't just me. Because I'm not some rich, crazy person like that. See, if I were, I'd be more than happy to be just like a Bruce Wayne, Oliver Queen, or Musk or Bezos. Because I would be a criminal too. And I wonder why people struggle economically, yet these other people here have so much money that they could easily help the world out. In fact, they could help most people out in this country, but they won't. And then we wonder why people turn to life of crime, why people become mentally incompetent, why people go crazy. It definitely has a lot to do with economic issues in certain areas. I mean, Gotham is one of the worst economic places in the world. High cost of living, big crime rates. Do you think those are random? Look at all the big cities in this universe of sorts. How many of them involve a rich person at the top of it all, making tons of money and helping no one with it? You got a lot of money, and yet for some reason, you don't use it to help people. And yet I, the Joker, am the one making this point to you. How is that even a sensible thing to think? That shows you how really screwed up this whole thing is. And the IRS, they're part of it.
Now, there has been this long-running thought pattern here that you actually have what is known as a quote-unquote hate list. Now, I have no idea what that technically would involve, who that would involve, who's on that list. Obviously, you know, people think the Batman's on it. I'm not really sure about that. But that being said, Joker, I'd love to know your thoughts here. So tell us, you know, who's on that list and why?
Who do I hate? Well, I do have a list of hatred. It's a weird one, but I think most people will agree with me. First off, I don't like Kite Man, because his name itself is just already crazy. If you notice that he actually just glides around, he's not a real kite at all. Now, kites need to have external things to actually pull them into the sky and keep them going and keep them stable. Otherwise, they just go awry throughout the air. Does Kite Man do that? No, he just glides throughout the air. So why is he not called Glider? Well, they can't be called Glider because I think God is actually another villain somewhere. I guess they patent the name. So Kite Man's like, I love to be called a Glider, but I can't be started to be called Kite Man because that makes more sense than being Glider. He could have been Glider number 2. He could have been the Glide Man. But no. Let's not go with that department. Let's go with Kite Man because that makes sense. Oh, hell yeah. So now this guy's getting a special on Max soon, and I am right there. I could have easily been picked, but no, it's good Kite Man, not Joker. There was an attribute we'll care about. Go. I really want to curse, but for now we'll just say, go screw yourself, Mr. Man of Kites. Next person on the list is Oprah. Now follow me here. Oprah is a narcissist that no one ever speaks about. I mean, this one has her specials of her favorite things. You know, her favorite things, which is her book special material. Like talking about books, it's the books she liked, not the books that actually are any good. Books she liked or that she was paid to talk about. Then, the O magazines, they have her on all the covers. Now, we already know O Magazine's Oprah magazine. We don't need much more than that. No. Let's put Oprah on all these covers, all these magazines, just to make sure everyone knows, hey, Oprah, see everyone, look at her on the list. No, see, Oprah is a narcissist that no one ever speaks about because it's always about her. Also, her money, her this, her that. It's really common and annoying. Probably the other person on the list that I think is probably the highest of this has to be Elon Musk. Because to be honest, here's the thing that gets me. With Musk, I get the narcissism. I really do. He's rich. He's foreign. He's probably going to make sense of someone who actually could be considered a narcissist. That part I get, right? And to be honest, I'm okay with that part. But then, he owns SpaceX, Tesla, very successful companies, right? He's paying taxes, which obviously we talked about earlier. I'm not a big fan of taxes either, but big issue here. The thing is, Musk also takes all the credit for all his inventions and patents. The thing is, if you look at all the patents he's part of, all of them, someone else came up with all of those inventions. He basically just paid for them, or they were part of the company. So he puts his name on all those things. By the way, put it on first each every time because, don't put yourself on there and let people know it wasn't you. And he knows that by doing that, his name will pop up first whenever the patent comes up. Thing is, though, he doesn't invent any of these things, nor can he tell you how it was actually made. And SpaceX is probably the worst. He actually comes up and tells you, oh, I'm chief engineer, so I know about this, I know about that. No, he doesn't. He doesn't know any of the things he actually talks about. In fact, you can tell because most of the inventions come from similar people throughout both Tesla and SpaceX. But then every other credit that is earned. Musk takes all the credit and says, hey, I'm good to go here. Steve Jobs used to basically have something similar happening where Jobs would say, hey, I want this to be invented, then go make it. But Musk will say, hey, who's got ideas? I like that idea. Let's now have you go make it. So basically, he never comes up with the idea, didn't come up with how things actually work and how they actually make sense to work, nor the invention itself. And yet, for some reason, he's the one given all the credit for all of the things you see. I found that to be a little bit odd. Now, I am a narcissist. So I'm okay with saying, hey, take credit where you can get it. But the thing is, if you're really going to take credit for something, at least know how to do it properly. And more importantly, could you not just put them on a list? Say, hey, me and the person that did, because at least that person will be the one everyone targets instead of you. Because, think about it is, you put yourself on the target list whenever you're the one who invents all these things. And I would never do that, because here's the thing. I want to be on the list of people everyone talks about, sure, but do I want to be the person everyone goes after and says, hey, do this for me? Like an Iron Man or some sort in the future? Oh, well, clearly not. I don't want to be some sort of random Tony Stark out there being kidnapped to come up with some invention of some kind, some sort of weaponry thing. I couldn't do that. One of my agents probably could, maybe. The thing is, how would they know? So, to be frank, I think he's setting himself up for failure, but more importantly, he takes credit for things that he never should take credit for at all. Because at least, in other cases, people actually come up with the ideas and make the materials. He never comes up with any of these things, nor does he actually make them, but yet he calls himself a chief engineer. That, to me, is a bit problematic, which is why he's on my hate list.
Joker, thank you for letting us know a little bit more about you. Obviously, there are things you talked about here that we need to all definitely consider. But here's the thing. I'd love to know your final thoughts on things before we go. Just give me your final issues, your final problems that you want to address.
If there's anything I have to say with my final word, it's this. I don't want anyone out there to be thinking they can become me. Because, quite frankly, they will never be like me. Am I some sort of clown? No. I utilize clown material to make my entire character four-way work, but ultimately, everything I do has a purpose, and a purpose for everything I do. I don't just do things to do them. People seem to think that's the case. They don't know me. I don't just find myself as a dog chasing cars all the time. That's not my mentality, because I could be a dog chasing cars, but I will not stop to catch that car. And when I do finally catch the car, I will whip through it and tear it up limb by limb like any dog should. And the thing about it is, people assume that I would not know what to do if I ever caught the car, when in reality, I just told you exactly what I would do to that car. Therefore, I do know what I do if I got a car. The fact is, no one ever will become me. I'm the best now. I'm the best there was in the past, best there will be in the future. I'm the greatest villain that Batman or any other superhero will ever see. I am the greatest villain in the history of villainy. Unless you want to add in Hitler. He's probably a little bit worse than me, but teach his own. The fact is, the broken bodies, the deaths, everything that I've caused, all that I've done, everything that I have accomplished, it's all been thanks to me and my own abilities, my own craziness, my own absolutely amazing brain. I did not need any help, but people decided they wanted to be part of my missions. Therefore, I allowed them to be. I was benevolent enough to allow people to be in the journey, like, say, a Harley Quinn here and there, or even a few people that call themselves a Legion. At the end of the day, I am great not because of them, but because of myself. They succeeded because of me, not me because of them. People always call me crazy, but it seems to be that I'm not exactly as crazy as people think that I am. Maybe everything I've done, I've made you convinced that I am crazy because I'm such a genius that I'm making you believe something that is not true because it allows me to get away with shit. For example, one that's crazy goes to Arkham. One that's a little bit evil goes to prison. Which one's easy to break out of? And you wonder why it is that I do what I do, why it is that I'm allowed to do what I do for so long. I mean, quite frankly, I should have been dead a long time ago, but I'm allowed to run free just because I'm crazy. So I'm not really crazy. Well, I'm really smarter than all of you. It's worth considering, but more importantly, it's worth actually thinking about on a long-term basis because, quite frankly, a lot of people out there can pretend to be crazy. How many of them actually convince you they really are, except for me?